Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Michael from Hallowed Thrills back with another video, and today we are going to be covering another installment of Horrifying History Icons. And I must say it has been quite some time since we opened up the archives of Halloween Horror Nights and learned some more history about this event. Now today, like I said, we'll be covering another icon, another infamous icon in the event's history. And in this particular episode, we are learning about everybody's favorite lunatic, Chance. Now, before we cover any sort of information regarding Chance's backstory and lore, please make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notifications turned on to get notified whenever I post a video. And also make sure you're following both Instagram and Twitter. The links are down in the description below. But let's take a deep dive on the history of Chance. So we know very little about Chance's actual origin and where she came from, and to be honest, even her actual name. There have only really been a few documented kind of history lessons regarding Chance. So let me just start all the way back at the beginning. So Jack, the very first original icon of the event, was introduced in the year 2000, and following the success of Jack in 2000, it was planned to have his brother Eddie come to the event in 2001. Now, the initial idea was following 2001, with Eddie and Jack now being introduced, as that they were going to continue kind of the family idea in 2002 and introduce a character named Jill. Jill was supposed to be Jack's kind of counterpart. She was supposed to be the ex-wife of Jack, who, after a messy divorce, kind of took control of Horror Nights and kind of continued to spread the horror throughout the event. Now, unfortunately, following the events of September 11th, 2001, Eddie's idea kind of got scrapped, which in turn caused Jill to also fall on the wayside because they didn't really continue that story. Until they kind of revisited the idea in 2007, but they mixed it up a little bit. So Jill, at that point, then became Chance, and Chance kind of grew into her own thing as being more of Jack's like right-hand woman, rather than being Jack's ex-wife or counterpart. In this instance, how Chance came to be is that Jack wanted someone else to kind of help him in his carnival of carnage, so he decided to find a toy ballerina, and in his sick, twisted, tormenting ways, he allowed that ballerina to come to life. And that's how Chance came to be. She was a toy ballerina that basically was brought to life by somehow Jack's magic. I don't know, but that's basically the backstory that we have regarding Chance. There really isn't much else regarding how she came to be, what her name is, other than just Chance. But let's talk about that first event. So like I said, Chance was introduced in 2007 at the Carnival of Carnage event, and she was only ever really supposed to be Jack's assistant and Jack's kind of right-hand woman, like I did say. There was never really any plans for her to kind of go further than that. Now, like I did say though, she has appeared in numerous events following that, so following those different events, they kind of tried to give her more of a story to kind of build on something further. But when she was initially introduced, there wasn't much plans for her, which is why we never really got much of a backstory for her, other than her just being a ballerina, toy ballerina that's come to life. Now, following her appearance in 2007, she did make another appearance a couple years later in 2010 at the 20 Years of Fear event, where she was part of both a scare zone and a house. In the scare zone, that was titled Fear Revealed, she partnered up with Jack and kind of gallivanted around and had their own little section in the scare zone that kind of looked like a clown tent, and it was basically just an area for them to chill, and she kind of hung around with the rest of the icons, like the caretaker, the director, the usher, the storyteller, people of that sort. So she kind of was brought back in as, like I said, Jack's right-hand woman, and no more really than that. Now, she did also, like I said, make an appearance in a house that year, and that was the Halloween Horror Nights, The Hallowed Past. And she didn't really have much of a big part in that house either. She kind of was just thrown in at the end, where they had kind of a big left, right, and center scare, kind of a convergence scare to force people out of the house with a bunch of the icons, like I had mentioned previously, where it was just left, right, and center of just different people and different characters coming out, and Chance was one of them. So not really much of a story being added on there. Now, it wasn't until her appearance 5 years later at HHN 25 for the 25th anniversary that we actually got some legitimate story for Chance. Now, at the 25th anniversary, Jack was back, of course, and we got the Carnage Return show, which brought Chance back in as Jack's assistant, and she did get a really nice makeover. She got a nice new outfit, and she really kind of got a more of a fleshed out character as far as a look goes. So it definitely, 25 was a good year for Chance to be able to get more character building going. But once, like I said, she only really was the assistant again in this year's event. She only showed up in the Carnage Returns, and she was more front and center though. She was more in the spotlight this year. So she had her own kills. She was throwing knives at this big board to kind of help Jack pick out who was going to be next. Her least favorite, or I guess favorite victim to deal with on a nightly basis was Amanda. But she was more in the spotlight and, like I said, had more character building in the 25th anniversary of the event. Now, at the conclusion of the 25th anniversary, they did have a little bit of a storyline that involved Jack and Chance. So, in case you didn't know about the story of the 25th anniversary event and how Jack became the icon for that year's event, Jack, following the events of HHN 20, was locked away in Fear's Lantern and eventually somehow escaped in time to come back to Horror Nights and really wreak havoc for the 25th anniversary. But during that sequence, he was on the run from the authorities until at the conclusion of the event, him and Chance got backed up into a corner where they had nowhere to go, but somehow Jack escaped, locking himself in his own Jack-in-the-Box and escaping from the authorities, which unfortunately left Chance all alone to be captured by the police and thrown into Shady Brook Asylum, which kind of is the story that they built for 26, where that was Chance's icon year. Now, Chance had both a scare zone and a house at the 26th event, and the scare zone was No Chance in Hell, I believe is what the scare zone was named, and it was just kind of basically your comedic kind of picture zone. Unfortunately, there wasn't really much to the zone. I know they had kind of the clowns all about, and they had a couple stages left and right, and eventually Chance would come out on one of the stages and kind of do a little bit of a skit, a little bit of performance, kind of roast some people, you know. But there wasn't really much to the scare zone. I mean, there wasn't really much to it. There wasn't really much storytelling. But once we got to the house, that's when the storytelling really kind of took place. So the house took place in the Men in Black tent, and I believe this was the first year that we had that house location. And that house was Lunatic's Playground 3D. You Don't Stand a Chance. Now, it is regarded as one of the worst houses at the event in its history, but it does kind of tell a really interesting story. Now, it takes place in Shady Brook Asylum after the events of 25, where Chance is now locked away following being captured by the authorities, and we kind of just take a deep dive into Chance's mind and her manic mind of, okay, how is she being treated at the asylum? And also, we're kind of riding that line of, okay, is this stuff actually happening, or are we just seeing what Chance thinks is happening and what she wants to do to both the guards and the other inhabitants of the asylum, and her just kind of taking over the asylum and trying to escape to really seek revenge on Jack? And I loved that whole story building and story elements that they made to get her to get some sort of revenge on Jack and have her try to hunt him down to get revenge. I thought that that was a great story building for a future event. But unfortunately, that never really came to be, as in 2021, we had the 30th anniversary, and they kind of decided, yeah, all that stuff doesn't exist anymore, because Chance came back with Jack for the 30th anniversary in the HHN Icons Captured House, where they both were paired together in their own section, and they were buddy-buddy again. And don't ask me how Jack got back in the lantern, how Chance got in the lantern, because they both were doing their own thing. Jack had escaped from the lantern, he hadn't been captured, he kind of went away, so how they got back in there, I don't know, and why did they forget that they hate each other? Also, I have no idea. They really just kind of built all that story and just let it go. I don't know. But who knows? Maybe we'll see them revisit that whole storyline again, because we now have some more information with Jack following last year's event with Oddfellow, so they're kind of building that story there. So maybe he'll look to an old friend to try to get some help again, and Chance might turn her back on him. I don't know. I would love to see how they kind of fit Chance in to the Jack and Oddfellow storyline in future events. But that is really all we have for the horrifying history and the background and lore regarding Chance. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure you drop a like down below, and also comment what icon would you like me to do next. We are starting to run out of them, or if you would like me to cover in a specific event, let me know down in the comments below. But as always, I'm Mike from Hallowed Thrills, giving you the all clear, and all clear means you're out of here. See you guys next time.